We got to talk about this, man. I saw this tweet, or it was kind of like a series of tweets of a college football account with a bunch of followers. It has a big following, talking about essentially how overrated Shedeur Sanders is going into the season this year. It's the start of college football, so the takes are coming in piping hot. We got to talk about it after the bumper. Stay tuned. What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is JeffLightsyJr. This is the Victor Formation Sports Show right here on JeffLightsYJr. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and notification bell because we upload all the time. Let's get right into it. This college football account, the name of the account is College Football Nerds. It's got like 20,000 followers. It's got a big following. So a lot of people tune into this account. And they're questioning how good Shedeur Sanders actually is. Now, questioning Shedeur Sanders, and how good he'll be at the Power 5 level, whatever, that's expected. When you come from an FCS program, especially when you're dominant in an FCS program, specifically an HBCU program, people are going to question, how good you really are. But it's the subtle, super subtle, let's just call it what it is. We just felt like racism in these posts. They got a few people talking, including myself and our guy Randall Barnes from Clutch Points and HBCU Post. Let's go to Randall's article over on Clutch Points. This was Randall Barnes' article of the College Football Nerds account questioning. It says, analysts wonder if Shedeur Sanders will be as good at Colorado as he was at Jackson State. Randall goes on to say, as Colorado gears up for its first game in the Deion Sanders era, college football analyst questions the hype around quarterback Shedeur Sanders. The College Football Nerds account posted on Twitter a Twitter thread analyzing Sanders' play during his 2 years at Jackson State. Let's look at the tweets. It says, explain the Shedeur Sanders hype to me. Well, if you watch the tape, you'll see. Now, you can say, oh, I don't think he's as good as Caleb Williams or Michael Penix or Bo Nix, or pick your favorite college football quarterback, but don't act like Shedeur's a soup sandwich. Don't act like Shedeur's some trash. Y'all know how I feel about Shedeur. Shedeur's a dog. And Shedeur can play. Let's continue reading. And Shedeur's a pro. In FCS, Shedeur Sanders was just 7.7 yards an attempt, would be 50th in FBS, though he had 40 touchdowns and 7 interceptions with just 173 rushing yards. Yet 247 had him as the number 4 transfer quarterback ahead of Mordecai, which he should have been, ahead of DJU, which he should have been, DJU from Clemson that's now at Oregon State, and Spencer Sanders, which he should have been. Should have been ahead of all of those guys, by the way. Let's continue reading. It says, what jumped out to me on film with Sanders, pros, his arm strength is legit good. That matters when you play quarterback. 2, he has really good command of the offense. That matters when you play quarterback. Cons, 85% of his throws were within a 15-yard bubble around the QB, hence the 7.7 yards per attempt. He's not athletic by Power 5 standards. That just simply isn't true. And the throws are flat. Now, here's the thing. What you can, it's like the game Two Truths and a Lie. You can tell truths and still lie, all right? But this isn't the part where he's getting criticized because we knew there was a lot of stat padding for Shedeur. If you watch Jackson State games at all over the last 2 years, you get that. There was some stat padding. Deion wanted to make sure his son's numbers looked really, really well. He'd have a ton of completions and a nice amount of yards, but not a whole lot of yards compared to all the completions. They did a lot of safe throws, and they ran a lot of route concepts that didn't go deep down the field. They didn't attack down the field a lot, and that's okay because there's a lot of programs that do that. Ohio State runs a lot of crossing routes. You play to your strengths, and you play to what you think fits best the team. And if your dad's the coach, he's going to play to your strengths and what's going to make you look the best. And to prime completion percentage, and taking advantage of Shedeur's accuracy was priority number 1. Let's continue reading because we know that there were times they should have ran the ball when they were still throwing it. There was a lot of times they would do a swing pass and short passes, which are essentially just like long handoffs, right? Let's keep reading. It says, you quickly realize on tape, Jackson's, now this is where he got disrespectful and borderline racist. This tweet right here. You quickly realize on tape that Jackson State's competition is closer to 8A football, Florida high school football, than it is Power 5 football. Really, dude? Let's keep reading. Most teams played way off coverage and gave up easy slants because they'd get burnt, hence the 71% completion percentage. Outside linebackers were slow. It makes projections hard. That just simply isn't true. There's a number of reasons why this isn't true. And he tried to defend it. Shout out to, Kobe, Blitz City Podcast. Shout out to HBCU Nightly, Josh Sims. They kind of went at him, and he tried to defend it. And Randall's article kind of sums up what they were saying. And in his thing, he tried to defend it by saying, there's times when SEC teams are better than the NFL teams. No, there's not. There's never been a time as many dogs have come through the SEC. Maybe if you put together an all-star team, they still would lose to the worst NFL team in the league right now. There's never been a time where an SEC champion or a national champion was better than even the worst NFL team. It's just not true. It just doesn't happen. And here's why I can tell you that doesn't happen. Those same players that are all-stars at those SEC programs get to the league, they be first-round picks, top 5 picks, top 10 picks, and they become bust. Now, if they were just so good that they could beat an NFL team while they were at their SEC school, whether it's Alabama, Georgia, Florida, wherever, why is it that some of them, when they get to the league, they become bust? It's because the league's a different monster. And the same goes from college, from high school to college. Some of those 4 and 5 stars at those 8A high schools, 8A Florida high schools, some of them come to college and become dogs. Some of them become real life monsters. Like they develop over the 4 years. But in college, folks are grown men. In high school, the oldest you can be is 19 years old playing high school football. In college, there is no age limit. We've seen 5th, 6th, 7th year seniors. That includes in the SWAC. In the SWAC, typically, there's not a lot of freshmen, true freshmen, that play a lot of minutes in the SWAC. The SWAC is filled with 3 and 4 and 5 year guys. A lot of them have transferred from Power 5 schools. And they're grown men. After being in college playbook, college weight room, college strength and conditioning program for 4 and 5 years, whether it's at a Power 5, Group of 5, or SWAC school, versus a kid that can be no older than 19. Some of them, if they're superstars, they play as like freshmen and sophomores. You're talking about 15 and 16 and 17-year-olds versus grown men in the SWAC. You can knock the SWAC all you want. Let's fight, fire with facts. Let's call it what it is. Those dudes in those 8A high schools in Florida, even if they go, let's call it Power 5, a lot of them end up transferring and ending up in the SWAC, ending up being the same guys you're saying the competition Shedeur was playing against. They end up being those same guys. Now, you can criticize and say, hey, Shedeur had a lot of easy throws. Hey, Shedeur's completion percentage or stats may have been inflated. Okay, I'm not going to knock you for that. But to act like he's not the real deal, to act like he can't play, to act like he's just a soup sandwich, you didn't watch the games. You didn't even watch the highlights. You didn't watch the tape like you're claiming you did. You just looked at a bunch of analytics. And numbers don't tell the full story. Let me repeat that. Numbers, just strictly numbers, don't tell the full story. Analytics is good and it's bad. Because if you just look at a whole bunch of numbers, you would be fooled. But if you actually watch the man play football, like football's played between the lines, not on a computer. And if you actually watch that man play football, you know he's the real deal. Say what you want about the level of competition. You do realize half the NFL is undrafted, right? You do realize a lot of those guys at those same SEC schools end up, even if they do get drafted in the league, a lot of them become bust. Like we looked at the draft in 2019 at the first rounders, at least 50% of them are probably bust. Because, 4 years. We've given them a full 3 years, 19, 20, 21, 22. We've given them 4 full years. If we looked at I don't have to pull it up. I'm just assuming. We looked at the draft in 2019. A lot of them are probably bust. 2018 the same. 2017 the same. So but we understand what this is. It's a twofold thing going on here. Obviously, Colorado is the most talked about program in the college football. So they're obviously they're going to have people that don't like them, that don't like their cockiness, they don't like the way that they move. And it's real easy for these experts or analysts to pick on the black schools, to pick on the black college, because they don't think that we'll fight back. I like what Josh said. Josh said, I created HBCU Nightly to specifically attack or go back at accounts like this that try to denigrate what we do at the historically black colleges and universities at our football programs. I'm not saying Jackson State can go out there and line it up toe-to-toe with Alabama. No, I would never say that. I'm not saying Southern or FAMU can. No, I would never say that. But at the same time, let's not act like they play football with 7 players and the SEC plays football with 11. No, it ain't 707. Shedeur Sanders didn't play 707. He played real football against real players. Some of them have made impact at the NFL already. Some of the dudes Shedeur played with, in, or against. I raise you James Houston, who had just as many sacks in his rookie year as the number 2 overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson, and James did it in half the time. He played in the SWAC. Think about this. Just think, if you really think about these things, some of the stuff that these people say are ridiculous. Who was the worst team in the NFL all year for the most part? And they ended up having the number 2 overall pick because they won their last game, but the Texans were the consensus worst team in the NFL. And you're telling me Georgia could have beat them? The Texans had an all-pro at left tackle and Laramie Tunsil. They had Titus Howard, who just got paid, by the way. Shout out to Titus Howard. And guess where he went to school? That same black college that Shedeur Sanders played in. He went to school at Alabama State. So miss me with that, man. I get it. You can. There's ways to say, hey, I want to see what Shedeur can do. Will he be able to prove himself at Colorado? Because we want to know that too. But you don't have to expose your racism by just making a statement that could be true. You don't have to lace your truth in racism, because that's what that was. It's clearly what it was. Because you're not saying that about the teams that North Dakota State or Montana or whoever's playing. Why say it about the SWAC or the black colleges? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Once again, my name is JeffLightsyJr. This is the Victor Formation Sports Show right here on JeffLightsYjr. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. Like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell, because we upload all the time. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. That is on Instagram and Twitter at JLightsy7. Hit that thumbs up button before you get out of here. I'll see you next time. Peace.